And we are back, and we're moving into our third and final segment for the morning. And this one is going to be a conversation with Rep from NICH. Of course, Kim Vasquez is in with us, who is the program officer at the Institute of Creative Arts. She is joined by Brigida Haylock, who is a curator and of Womxn. And I think that's the way we're going to discuss why. We're going to discuss why that is in art 22. And of course, this is under the team A Kaleidoscope of Creativity. I love it. Guys, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Loving the colors, I've got to say. I really and truly like this. This is great. But let's talk about this. I mean, NICH is always doing something. When we were at the top of the pandemic, there was so many things that NICH was actually doing online as well. And now there is this big thing that's happening, Women in Art 22, under the Kaleidoscope of Creativity. Kim, talk to us about it.
This is actually, it's been 12 years of Women in Art.
Yeah.
And just yesterday, we were remembering that Gilvano Swayze was the first curator of Women in Art when we started at the Institute of Creative Arts, the Women in Art movement. And Brigida was his little helper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just
How much
barely, we know,
Yes, it coincides with the timeline.
So, and then now she is here curating for the second time.
Wow.
So last year we tried to do one. 2020, everything was set because it's always in Women's Month. And so everything was set. It was to be at the Museum of Belize, and then COVID hit, right? And then last year we went online. We tried to make the focus last year more about the women themselves. So last year we were under the theme Women Art Work, and we focus instead on just showcasing the women who were working during the pandemic. And we tried to do a couple things online. We did our first online symposium. We brought that back this year. But yes, it's so exciting to be actually having an art exhibit at the Belize Gallery at the place.
Wow.
It's been many years since we've had an exhibit at the Belize.
The newly renovated place.
Yes.
Hey, look good. Things pretty on you now.
It's pretty.
It looks nice.
It's pretty.
You know, 12 years is nothing to take lightly. It's while there are a lot of celebrations in Women's Month, you know, it's one of the moments where we look at women who are involved in art and who've been contributing for a long time. So, Brigida, let's talk about the vision for this year, this Kaleidoscope of Creativity, and the change in the woman. That's why, so people can understand why John was confused. It's WXMEN.
So a Kaleidoscope of Creativity, it's playing with the reemergence of the niche as well. And we are coming out of the pandemic. The mere fact that we're showcasing in real time is refreshing. You know, you're excited. So I came up with the concept to be inclusive because we're coming out of the pandemic. I'm thinking everyone wants to be themselves artistically. You don't want to put anyone in a box. You know, with the theme of the show, and like also I was thinking about the time span, but a Kaleidoscope of Creativity just displays all the different women out there. I mean, we have over 100 women that are participating. So it's really big. A lot of women to try to keep up with. And you know, to answer your question, the way it's looking, for me, I see more contemporary coming out compared to what we're designed to believe is like the Belizean art, which is the scenic stuff and the still life stuff. Those are minimal. It's more contemporary art this year. So you're going to go on a little journey where you do see some of the landscapes. Yes, that's still there, but you go into something more creative, something more youthful. It's really fun. For me, I find it fun. It's inspiring. It brings joy. It's like some of the women are speaking for you, like raising awareness, using their voice. So it encompasses for me a lot of empowerment.
But you know, I really and truly love what you're saying. And you did say that for you, it brings forth fun. It brings forth that. So you're able to see things within that as a curator.
Yeah, well, that is my job. I have to bring everything together.
And that's the reason why I'm about to say that for people who would, because there are a lot of people who look at stuff and can't see what we're seeing as the people who are actually doing it. How do you get the sense of an artwork? What do we look for
For me, I'm an artist. It comes naturally, but it's
What
for
do you
me.
want to show to me?
Well, for me, I want you to see it's. I'm also encompassing that feeling of the kaleidoscope, the changing. So it starts off with like some of the still life stuff, going into some of the scenic stuff, but it all depends also on the media used. So the way I transition it with the color, the texture. So you're gonna go in for a little ride, and it's
Sweet.
going to be a fun ride. You're gonna have, for me, when you go in, you just have so much fun with it.
Yeah.
It's in all the shows I've done so far, well, assisting and stuff, I think this one is the most fun.
Wow.
I don't know if it's because we're back in the scene, it feels fresh, but it's gonna be really fun.
Wow.
And for me, what I like is that I think this is the first year we have so much, because we put out the call broad.
Yeah.
Everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Video, graphic design, installations, everything we asked for. And we have 12 poets.
Wow.
No, it's going to, we're still in the
Yeah, we're
Finalization
but we
phase.
have
It's
more
so
than
much.
10 poets.
about it's going to be
And-
about 20, I
Yes,
think.
and in previous years we would do the same, and we would have poems, yes, but maybe one or two, and we would frame them. Now we are looking at doing an accompanying publication.
An
Wow.
ebook.
Because we have so much, so it's, and what we noticed, and I don't know if Brigida noticed, but many of the visual artists went internal and started to write poetry.
And I know that that is something that resonates
Oh
with you,
yes,
writing
yes,
especially.
it does, right? So this is
what
exciting.
What about the age range?
We have a lot of younger artists. We have some of the artists that have been there from inception.
Yep.
And this is really interesting. For me, like I saw a painting come in, and I was so excited, and I asked who it was, and they said that's Gayla's daughter. And I'm like, Gayla, like one of the original women in art.
Yeah.
And now her daughter is in the
actually-
exhibit this year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you speak to that whole decade that has passed.
Yeah.
And like what Brigida said, we're seeing a lot of contemporary designs and themes as well.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing. You
Yeah.
know, it speaks to the whole theme of reemergence
Yeah.
and like, this whole new start.
But it also, for me, speaks to the fact that exactly what we've been trying to teach the younger generation to have an open mind about.
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
And that's what we're actually about to see.
Yes.
That is very important, yeah.
What's exciting is a lot of new artists are coming out. So half these women, we don't know who they are.
Yes.
One of the process that I went through with getting some of the submissions is going through their Instagram, because that's where all the artists, visual artists went.
Yeah.
We learned how to utilize it for those who really got into social media. They learned how to utilize it. And that's how we got some of the artists today, by social media. Like, I stalked some of them, so I'm excited.
You say it.
I did. I'm
She
shameless.
owns it.
I'm shameless. Like, I stalk some of them on social media, and I cannot wait to meet them in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one who's not going to be there. I'm a bit sad, but I just hope to meet her one day.
The reaction though, because if they're creating artwork to just publish on social, they probably weren't thinking they're at exhibit phase yet. When you ask these young women to participate,
Oh, they're excited.
excited.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they have
Excited.
so many questions.
Yeah.
My phone goes off so much now. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so many little questions.
And I think
They're
that's just
new
like
to
the
it, so
like
it's
that's
like,
just that you get emotional, because
Yeah.
for some of them this is their first time exhibiting.
Yeah.
And then so you can you work with artists that exhibit all the time,
Yeah.
and then you have this little set that this is the first time that their work will be displayed, and it's a huge deal for them.
But
What's the change that you see with the younger female artists coming up? Because if I remember, Brigida, I remember your first exhibit. Was that the plastics one? Was that the first one?
the Society Killed a Teenager.
That was it. Yeah, I remember plastics.
It's just like
clearly.
yesterday.
yeah.
But my question is, I find that the younger generation, they're very uncensored,
Yes,
and
which
so
is
when
lovely.
you see them now going into
Yes.
right, or
Right.
society needs a lot more of that. And that's where sometimes people find comfort in art.
Yeah.
Is that also going to be a part of what we see in this kaleidoscope?
There are some in there. One of my my pages that I love to follow, which is Women Wear What They Want. They're featured, and they're a group that speaks to the women, and they try to bring equality. They're talking about the hard topics that I'm interested in too. So they're trying to give body positivity. So you have that little NGO in there, which makes it special. Like you're really seeing that activist movement, which I totally support. So like that's how you see some of the developments. And then for those, you still have the traditionalist artists and the people who believe, like the landscape artists, you know, but you're just seeing more creativity. Like people aren't being copycats as much. That's the change that I'm seeing within the art community. The younger generation is more original. For those that are still young in the game, of course they'll be copying until they find their voice with their creativity. But some of you're seeing more original concepts.
That's lovely. That's lovely. But you know, Brigida, there are a lot of people. This is an open door for a lot of these young ladies who are out there who wants to put things on canvas, who actually want to make a song, who wants to showcase what they've got to offer, but they might be hiding behind something. What do you say to these young ladies to try and come on out and showcase what they've got?
As artists, even myself, like we still have that little fear because despite what you do, like you question yourself if you're good enough. But at the end of the day, you know the cliche saying, no one is you. And you have to put yourself out there and to share who you are artistically, because you don't know whose day that you're changing. People like art is subjective, and everyone has their own style and technique. And you'll be surprised how much someone will love your technique compared to something that we in this society deems as acceptable, which is realism. We love it, we die for it, but the little abstract thing, they get a second glance or they're bypassed. But if that's you, embrace that, because you're bringing a different flavor to the table. So like just go out there, be fearless.
So can we get a bit of explanation, especially for viewers, the spelling of women for this exhibit?
That is a way in which women in art itself has been changing and evolving. Last year, Ilona, my colleague at the Museum of Belize, we were working again on a virtual Women in Art, and we made that deliberate decision for a more inclusive Women in Art. So the X, it's still pronounced women. Some people are tripping up.
Well, I don't want to just
thought it was a typo.
Some people start to say woman. It's woman. It's still woman. That is just a visual nod to our transgendered sisters and to the LGBTs artists as well. And again, that's just us being more inclusive.
Saying all are welcome.
All are welcome. All women. All women in art.
That's nice. That's nice.
Now, you did say there's also some symposiums happening as well.
Yes. Yesterday we had the second online symposium. We had a wonderful session. We had topics that included mental health.
Wow.
Yes, we had Lynn Mara do a session that took us through. Everybody felt so zen afterwards because, again, and she tailored it for mental health for the creative sector. So important. We had Beltrade in there doing export readiness. We were able to also showcase a couple of the young entrepreneurs, and that's something we're noticing with younger artists. How quickly it's not that they emerge as artists, but that they emerge with that business plan from the get-go, that I am going to make a business out of my art. And for example, we did a case, we were doing a round table in the symposium where we were troubleshooting productivity versus creativity, which is something that a lot of creatives struggle with, right? And so we had a young business owner that her name is Brittany Chi from Orange Walk, and her business is Residi. And she makes handicraft and keychain and dog tags from resin. But she does it part-time, which a lot of creatives have to do. And so she was saying she was the stereotypical case for this troubleshoot because, you know, we want as artists to get orders. We love getting orders.
Yes.
But then we actually have to sit down and fill the orders. And then we have to do the invoicing so that we collect right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I like the way Shahira from Beltrade said, you know, it's not that that creativity is opposed to productivity, but to find that sweet spot.
It's that,
that balance.
brain struggle.
Oh my God.
Right? Was to find that balance, right?
Yeah.
So we had a really good discussion as well, you know, in the online symposium. That's the second year we're doing that. We also have this week taking place a series of business training for women creatives. They're doing a business plan, costing and pricing. Costing and pricing is something artists struggle with. You know, we had an artist, again, some of them are just emerging, and she put one of her paintings up and she sold it for a very, very cheap price.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is
hard.
something, it's hard.
Not the price, yeah.
It's hard when there's not a set structure, and then it also comes from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Right?
it's,
Right? It's hard for us sometimes to value our art.
Yeah.
Right?
Hard for us to value ourselves.
Value
Sometimes it happens
ourselves
in the
and
entertainment
value our-
business, so with
right.
artists.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's tough. But a kaleidoscope of creativity. When can we see this? Who
So
is able to go on out to
is
see
this
it?
invite only, vaccinated
Yes.
only?
The
What are we
opening
looking at?
is, yes, the opening event is, but then the exhibit will be up until the end of March.
Okay.
And you are free to come by the Bliss at any time and see the
Check it
exhibit.
out.
Yes,
Oh
come and
my
check it out. Yes.
Is there a cost to go on inside and check it
No,
out?
man, of course not. You're welcome to come to the Bliss anytime and see. Like Brigida said, we have close to 100 women participating, and that's because we
100
even have a cooperative from down in Toledo that sent their Maya handicraft.
Sweet.
Right. So
Yes.
yeah. So we have a real
Nice
mix, a nice range.
What would you say is the overall feel of the exhibit that you are finishing up at this time?
for me, I feel like it's very inclusive. Like you're seeing that change of creativity. A lot of new faces.
Yeah.
I mean, Kim and I were going over the list. I'm like, who is this? And I looked at Kim.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're getting old now.
I was just gonna say, it's just that you reach that point, right?
You know, when you don't know their names anymore, you're getting old.
Well, that's the way it is, and you know, it's so nice because we talk so much, especially on this show, of how we try to empower women, and at this particular point, this is a great way for women in art to actually showcase what they've got to offer.
Yes.
And if people want to buy it, they can buy it.
Yes, they can.
They can. They
women
can.
gave us their
They
price
gave us
list.
their price list.
Okay.
And I want to tell you something. Some of them, they come and they don't mark soul. As
Yeah.
quickly as they're being showed on social media, people are inboxing and they want to buy them.
So that's another
Yes,
power
and
of
that's
the
an-
social
yes.
media.
That's
Yes.
nice. That's
And
nice.
actually, overall, we've been noticing at ICA that as we are coming out of the pandemic, artists are getting commissioned work.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is great. This is society coming back and say, I need
course.
paintings
Yeah.
on the wall, and you know, and they're
inspiration,
vibrant and colorful
Yeah.
because they're being asked for specific images.
Yeah.
And when you see it, it's things that are very colorful and vibrant, and toucans and birds and landscapes, you know, because I think like it's just like we want to reconnect,
Yeah.
and that's how we do it through art.
Beautiful. I really love it. Man. I love it.
So, what's the opening hours for the gallery after the opening?
Yes, the Bliss is open from 8:30 until 5. Like I said, it's open to the general public. You're free to stop in anytime and see the artwork, to see Women in Art 22.
This is beautiful. And then, you know, I could just think about all the cruise tourism passengers who was always walking in the front there. Have something outside, man. Let these people come on inside to see it.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is
Seriously.
just the start because,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the 1st and 2nd of April, we have at the Institute of Creative Arts, we have the dance companies. It's been so long since they've come together for a dance show.
Yeah.
And this has been in the pipeline for months, but every time because of COVID, we put it off. So We have the 4 resident dance companies with some of their outside partners working to put together a dance show. We haven't had one in years.
I know. All right,
See?
theater is next, right?
It's like, I'm excited to buy my ticket.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what, ladies? We're so thankful that we
Yes.
have had you in this morning to discuss this kaleidoscope of creativity from the 18th. I saw on the flyer.
Yes.
From the 18th all the way to the 31st. If
Right.
you want to see these art,
Right.
they'll be right
Yeah.
here at the Bliss Center
Yes.
for the Performing Arts, and it's free to
Yes.
access, and you could
Yes.
actually buy the creativity.
Yes.
Yes, you
creativeness.
can.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Kim,
Thanks for
thank you.
having
Benita,
us.
thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
And do
Yes.
have yourselves a lovely day today.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to take our final break in the morning, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping things up. You don't want to go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back.